Ooh, this is kind of deep. It is, do you ever regret going? Hey guys, welcome back. Alright, so I've noticed I've had this lipstick in my hand, I don't know why. I've had a bunch of you guys reach out to me about moving to Canada, living in Canada, really a lot of Canada questions. So today I figured it would be a good idea to just sit down, hang out with you guys, really just get everything on the table and give you guys as much information as I can. Back when I started my YouTube channel, I made a video about moving to Canada, which I really recommend watching that one before you watch this video. It is one of my first ever videos on YouTube, so I'm definitely shaky. I'm definitely nervous in it, but it really gives an outline of my experience moving to Canada. It contains a lot of information, so check that one out and then come back and watch this one. I'll put a link, like wherever links go, up here. So I asked you guys on Instagram to send through any questions you had about moving to Canada. Guys, you sent through so many, but there were also so many different questions, which is really perfect. So guys, before we get into it, if you do like this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, or if you just haven't subscribed yet, it's fine, I get it. But I would love it if you could hit the subscribe button below. So I film with my iPhone, and for my last Q&A that I did in my America road trip video, I used Cal's phone to read all of the responses off Instagram, but Cal's not here, so I've had to make do with what I've got. I found my iPad from like high school, so this is what we've got. I don't even know if it has Instagram. Things I should have done before I started filming. I'm gonna figure this out, and then I'll be back and we will jump straight into it, and I'm gonna answer every single one of your questions because I feel like that is the information and content you guys deserve. We are filming this Q&A. Like, I don't care how long this takes, man. I am ready to film. I'm ready to answer questions. Why do I have to log back into the internet? Oh my God, it's 2020. Okay, I've got it to work. I'm logged in. I'm on Instagram. Look at how zoomed in it is on the iPad. It's making me laugh. Like, this is my profile. I don't know. It's probably not even funny, but it's funny how long it's taken me to get to this point. Okay, so the first one is, what made you decide to move and will you go back to Oz? So I spoke about this one in my moving to Canada video, but I'm gonna put this iPad down because like, basically it was because I really felt like I was doing a job I was good at, but it wasn't what I loved to do. I also really loved going to the United States, so moving to Canada was a way to be closer to the States, but really it was just to try something different and put myself out of my comfort zone. I also love traveling, so it was a way to be on, I guess you could call it a permanent vacation, but still be making money. So rather than working all year, making money and then getting, what is it, like 4 weeks of annual leave, I could be somewhere in a different country and working and traveling for the whole year. And yes, I definitely will come back to Oz. I feel like talking in I sounds so weird because Cal and I are together, so I'm sorry if I go back and forth between I and we. Really not sure exactly what we want to do next, but we do know that we want to come back to Australia, and we also want to go to a bunch of other different countries, so it might not be exactly when our visa ends, but definitely we are coming back. Okay, so the next one is, how did you find a job? Was it easy or hard to get a job? So when we moved here, we went through a company called IEP. They helped us get our visas and they helped us also be set up with a job before we came. So if you're nervous about finding a job and you want a bit of security before you move over here, I definitely recommend going through a company like that. You do have to pay to use these companies, but I do think sometimes the bet's worth their hand, right? You pay a little bit of money, but you have that security. And then when we were on the winter resort, we were able to kind of renew our contracts for summer. So we were set for the first year of living here. We then moved to Vancouver in our second year, and I can't really speak for Cal because he does freelance graphic design. So he has that job not necessarily in Canada, but I haven't had much difficulty finding a jobs. I think a lot of places are aware that people are seasonal staff and people are coming here for working holidays, and there's always a resort that's hiring. There's always places that set themselves up to have seasonal employees, so maybe I will just put some things up on the screen and some websites and resources that you can use to find jobs, and hopefully that helps. Alright, the next one is best place to work, everywhere looks amazing. Alright, so I've only worked in 2 places since I've lived here. I worked at a mountain resort for a couple of seasons, and then I also worked at Capilano Suspension Bridge Park in Vancouver, and that was my absolute hands down favorite job. It was an amazing company. I loved the job. I loved the people there. I loved the environment. So for me, Capilano was my favorite place to work. I don't know where the best place is to work. It depends on you as a person, but for me, Capilano. Okay, so this one is also, how did you decide what job you will do, or did you like fall into it? For the first job, I guess we decided. We went through IEP and they helped set us up with jobs. We really just wanted to work a winter season. We didn't really mind what our jobs were. And then because we wanted to go on the big USA road trip, we decided to work a summer season at the same resort because that was the most practical and best thing for us to do. So we kind of fell into that. We wouldn't have done a summer at the resort if we weren't going on the road trip. And then for Capilano, where I worked in Vancouver, I was just bulk applying for any jobs and I got that job, which I ended up really loving, like I said before. And then I definitely fell into doing another winter season at Panorama because it was just the best financial thing to do and the most practical thing to do for winter. So it really was a combination of falling into certain jobs and then taking the other job because it just got offered to me and I needed one. In terms of finding jobs, we obviously went through IEP when we first moved here, and then because we'd worked at the mountain resort when we wanted to come back for summer and wanted to come back for another winter season, it was fairly easy to just get a job there again. But when we moved to Vancouver and I obviously had to work for a completely different company, I used those websites that I'm pretty sure you use anywhere in the world, so like Seek and Indeed, and I managed to find a job on those. Alright guys, so the next one is, how much did you save up before moving? Alright, so I don't really feel comfortable saying how much I moved here with and how much I saved up. I also don't think it's really helpful to give you guys an amount because I know a lot of people who have moved here with basically nothing to their name. I know a lot of people who have moved here with heaps of savings. So I really think you can do it either way, but what I'm gonna do, instead of saying how much I had, I'm going to say what I think you should have enough money for. So when you move here, I think you should have enough money to basically live comfortably for a couple of months. Even if you're moving with a job, I can't stress it enough because there are some places that won't start paying you until their next pay cycle. So plan out how much your rent's gonna be for the month, plan out if you have any security deposits that you have to pay for a place, how much groceries will cost you, how much a phone bill will be. I really just whacked my hand down there. And that really varies, I think, person to person and lifestyle to lifestyle, I suppose, because everyone's gonna have a different grocery bill and phone bill depending on how much data they want on their plan and what kind of foods they eat. So yeah, I'm not gonna say how much I came over here with because I don't think that's helpful. I would hate for you to think I need that amount when we could have like completely different lifestyles. So just have enough money for a couple of months of living. It really helps, and it really helps with stress. When you move overseas, guys, there's definitely times where you feel homesick and you're worried, and just being able to eliminate worrying about money during the time while you're getting yourself stable and on the ground and comfortable in a country, it definitely is helpful. So yeah, I recommend having enough money to get by for a couple of months. Alright guys, so the next one is it expensive to live there? This one, it really depends. Putting the iPad down. It really depends on whereabouts you live and what your lifestyle choices are. So I've only lived in Australia and Canada as an adult, so the examples and perception, I guess, for me of is it expensive to live here is going to be based off Australia rural towns and Australia city, Melbourne, and Canada mountain towns and Canada city, Vancouver. I'm just saying that because if you're watching from the UK or any countries in Europe or anything like that, I haven't lived there, so I don't know what the cost of living is like there. I think living on the mountains is relatively similar to living in a rural or country town back in Australia. I think the rent is similar. I think the cost of groceries are similar. But I think the difference that separates the two and makes Canada potentially more expensive is the minimum wage here is so low in comparison to Australia. So I'm gonna jump into city living. I think city living is also pretty similar to back in Australia. I would say it's a bit more expensive though. So the rent we found in Vancouver was a lot higher than it was in Melbourne, but all around I would say that Australia and Canada are very similar. So if you're watching from Australia and you're wondering about moving to Canada, I would say it's not necessarily more expensive in terms of purchasing things or rent or anything like that. It's more the minimum wage is low. Okay, so the next one is, ooh, this is kind of deep. It is, do you ever regret going? Oh my gosh, this question's made me nervous. I don't know why. Maybe I regret going. I don't know why I picked up this coffee. I talk so much with my hands. I definitely don't regret coming here, but I think I've spent a lot of time trying to like something that I don't really like. So definitely I would make different choices, but ultimately, no, I don't regret coming here. I've met so many people, so many amazing people who are genuinely going to be in my life forever. I've had so many good experiences. I've done so much traveling. I've grown so much as a person. So no, I definitely don't regret coming, but I feel like I wish I did a couple of things differently, and I wish I accepted a couple of things earlier. I don't want to speak anymore about this kind of like weird, like, I wish I could do things differently vibe that I'm kind of giving off, but I will one day, just not in this video. All right, so this one is, how did you find places to live and how much it costs? So when we first moved to Canada, we were able to get into staff accommodation with the mountain we moved to, and we were able to stay in that for the winter and the summer season and not pay rent while we were on our road trip. So that was perfect. And then when we moved to Vancouver, we found our place on Craigslist, if I'm being honest. I know that website is very like hit and miss. It can be really dodgy, but we found our place on there. And then when we decided to move back to the mountains and back to the same resort, we really just posted on Facebook in the resort groups being like, you need a place, does anyone know of any places? And luckily there was one available. So that's how we found our places to live. We've only lived in 4 different places in nearly 2 years. I'm gonna pop some websites up on the screen that I think are really useful for when you're trying to find places over here. I just can't remember them all off the top of my head, so hopefully these that are up on the screen, hopefully these help you guys. And then in terms of how much it cost, I really don't want to say how much my rent costs because that's kind of personal, but I think it really just depends whereabouts you want to live. And it really depends if you want to live by yourself or you want to live with people. So once you start researching kind of the area where you want to live, it is very apparent how much that area costs. There is also a couple of other websites which will pop up on the screen that really kind of go over what neighborhoods you can live in and what neighborhoods cost if you want to live in the cities. So money questions are so hard because it really just depends on who you are as a person and what your lifestyle is like. So hopefully me giving you these websites and methods and techniques helps, because I don't feel like me giving my amounts are gonna help. I think it's doing your own research on the areas and places that you want to live and then seeing if you can work that into your budget. I really just want to help you guys and answer these questions as best as I can, and the money ones are just so hard. Okay guys, so the next one is all your family still in Australia? Yes, so all of Kel's family is still back home in Australia, and then my family is between Australia and New Zealand. But yeah, basically none of our family came with us to Canada. We moved here by ourselves. Okay, so the next one is, are you on a working visa to eventually be a Canadian resident? Yes and no. Yes, we're on a working visa. Cal and I are on the IEC working visas, but we're not planning on staying in Canada or getting PR or becoming a Canadian resident. And that's nothing to do with Canada. I absolutely love this country. I know Cal loves this country. I think it would be an amazing place to live permanently, but we just feel at this time that we're not in a position to choose a permanent country to live in yet. There's still so many places we want to live and so many places we want to travel to. So yes, we're on a working visa. No, we're not planning on becoming Canadian residents. Okay, so the next one is, did you move any furniture? If so, how? No, so we didn't bring any furniture with us. We have been living over here in furnished apartments, so We really just came over with our suitcases, so clothes and snowboard stuff, but in terms of furniture, no, we didn't move any of that. And honestly, thank God, that sounds so hard. Okay, so the next one is, did you have to downsize your wardrobe a lot for the move? I definitely downsized it, but I didn't really have to downsize it a lot. It wasn't a massive, drastic closet clean out, thousands of bags being donated. I am pretty minimalistic. I don't really like to own a lot of clothes, and I don't put value on having a big amount of clothes or new clothes all the time. I definitely wasn't like that in the past. I got like this after going overseas for the first time. I also kept some stuff at home as well, so I think it was one suitcase worth of clothes that I kept at home. And then when I went back to Australia in January, I went through that suitcase, and now it's only half a suitcase. So I did downsize what I owned, but I don't think it was as drastic as some of the other situations I've heard from other people. The second last one, guys, is why did you choose Canada? Can't wait for your next video, TJ and Tay. I love these guys so much. I'm gonna link their channel below. If you haven't checked it out yet, guys, I highly recommend it. But to answer this question, I chose Canada because really, I chose it just because it was the closest country to the United States that I could do this visa on. I did also want to learn how to snowboard, and I had a pretty big fear of the snow that I think, like, subconsciously I was ready to get over that fear. But real talk, honesty, speaking my truth, I just wanted to live closer to the United States, and it's still kind of true. Being honest. All right, guys, and the last one is, what would you do differently in the moving process knowing what you know now? Honestly, I think I would just film it. We didn't really film a lot of it. I didn't start getting into filming until we went really on our road trip, and I wish I filmed the moving process. I just wish I had that footage so bad. I also wish I took less stuff. Even though, like I said before, I am pretty minimalistic and I did downsize a lot of my stuff before I came, I still took too much. I also feel like you always feel like that. You can always take less somewhere, but really, I wish I just filmed it, if I'm being honest. I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for, but if you move overseas or go anywhere, get footage. You will not regret it. All right, guys, we did it. We got through all the questions. I really hope this information helps you guys. I really get worried that my answers are all over the place, but I really hope it does. I hope it gives you guys more of an insight into how we moved and more about living in Canada. If you do have any other questions, guys, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Or if you don't feel comfortable like putting them in a public comment, or if you just want to speak to me a bit more personally about it, totally get it, totally fine. Just send me a DM on Instagram and I will talk to you there. I'm also really sorry if I did miss your question. I felt like some of them were just quite similar, so I didn't want to say the same thing over and over again. So if I missed your question, like the exact question, I am really sorry. But I hope you got the information you needed. If you've liked this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I would love it if you could hit the subscribe button below. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. I should have just picked this mug up afterwards. Kind of ruined my outro. Bye, guys.
Fuck. Down, yeah. I've been feeling so down, yeah. Can you tell me why? Can you tell me why?